Computer, pause recording. Hi everyone. So, yeah, I've gotten Half-Life Alyx. Been playing it quite a lot. Really been enjoying it. I don't do any shooting in real life, but I gotta say, shooting in this game is lots of fun. So I figure I'd show you a bunch of things that I learned that really helped me. So, all right, what's important? Well, real world safety is really important, meaning that when you're playing in VR, we have three kinds of spaces. There's cyberspace, which is everything that you see in the virtual world. And then there is meat space, which is the space within these boundaries that you can see. Anything outside of meat space is hard space, meaning hard walls. And you're going to bang into those things. And I call it hard space because it's hard and it hurts to run into it. So the thing is that there's the meat space that you have that you can use. This is the resource that you can use and move inside. And things that belong in meat space, that is you, the meat, must stay within the meat space. If you exit into hard space, all that awaits you is pain and suffering, property damage, personal injury. So I say, be safe. Be safe when you're playing. And really, I always have my, they call it the chaperone system. Always have your chaperone. I always have it up because I don't want to smack into hard space. And I like being on my feet. I don't like being in seated VR. I like standing, and I like being able to operate in this room because it's so much fun. It's a huge part of the experience, but you got to be safe. All right. And so there's meat space, there's hard space, virtual space, and I'm going to be teaching you things like how to manage your meat space as well. So anyway, what else we got? Right, accuracy. Because this is the thing that people are most interested in. They want to see people shooting. Okay, I'll show you shooting. Then there's consistency. Yeah. So consistency is kind of a thing where it's one thing to be able to accurately shoot in VR and at the practice range, but then it's another thing entirely when you are under duress, meaning that guys are attacking you and you're like, oh, how do I deal? And you're dodging. And so you need to be consistent, meaning that when you're shooting here and you get this great accuracy, you got to be able to pull that off during the real thing, during when you're getting attacked by all the virtual enemies. So you want to learn consistency. And then what else do we have? Ergonomics. Yeah. So, if you're going to be playing I like to play for a few hours at a time. And so ergonomics becomes really important. If your technique really sucks and your ergonomics sucks, you're going to get really tired, and tiredness and strain tend to lead to muscle tremors. All those things throw off your accuracy. In fact, there's a lot of things that throw off accuracy because accuracy is defined by the direction that this gun barrel is pointing. And so anything that affects which way this gun barrel is pointing is going to affect your accuracy. It's going to affect whether or not you can pull out those headshots. And I like to play it with modified difficulty settings where enemies take lots and lots of damage. But if you score headshots, they take extra damage. So headshots really matter in the difficulty modes that I like. And I like setting it where I take lots of damage from enemies as well. So it means that you have to move more carefully and shoot more carefully. And I find that to be a more interesting experience for me anyway. So anyway, what else we got? And virtual world safety. Yeah, virtual world safety is that thing where, enemies are shooting at you. And so I want to talk also later on about, we'll be using that time target range. It's kind of a kill house area. We'll be using that to show you how to minimize the amount of exposure that you present to yourself and make it so that, how to take on enemies in kind of in a way that maximizes the damage that you do to them and minimizes the incoming damage that they can deal to you. So anyway, let's talk about accuracy, which is about getting the bullets to go where you want. And so, practice ranges. Practice ranges are incredible because Half-Life Alyx supports add-ons. And this is like the shooting range add-on. I just found it in the workshop. There's multiple ones. Get them all. Whatever. Try them all out. This is the one that I like. And I guess I'll put a link to this particular one that I'm using. Practice ranges are great. These are great kind of safe places where you can get used to shooting and just get used to managing your weapons. And because when you actually have to perform activities like reloading, right, or switching weapons, this allows you to figure out, okay, well, if I want to work out reloading, then, right, how can you quickly deal with your reloading? Whoops. So be able to be in a firing stance, exit out, reload, exit your firing stance, reload, and do this all in one activity, in one motion, and be able to get your sight picture back. So, well, let's put all these back. All right. So yeah, practice ranges, fantastic places. Always practice in a practicing range and get things down to a drill. So, all right. So when talking about the accuracy, and we want to talk about, there's all these different things that affect which way this barrel is pointed. So we're going to work in reverse order. All right. So the most important thing, well, everything's important. Everything's important, but the most interesting one is the trigger pull. So how you pull the trigger, if you jerk the trigger, right, this is going to, okay. When I jerk the trigger, right, this affects the way the gun barrel turns. So this is why you don't want to, go bam, 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 because it's going to throw off your aim. In fact, let me get a laser sight on this thing. Computer, pause recording. All right, let's get that laser sight. There we go. Ooh, hot. Smoking. Ooh, smoking
wow.
Hot.
My gun's looking pretty good.
All right.
Russ, come on. At this point, it's kind of our gun.
Okay, so, yeah, right now, actually, no, let's keep that gun unchambered. So we can see, I think there's a laser sight on this thing. Oh, the laser sight does not show up until you actually pull okay, so. Now is there a laser sight? There's supposed to be a laser sight on this thing, but I don't think it's showing up. Okay. Yeah, there's a laser sight, but for some reason or other, oh, wait, there it is. Yeah, it's just really faint. Okay, well, there it is. Well, now we can see it. Good. So, right, anything we do, like if I pull the trigger, right, look at how your aim is going. Doink, 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 doink. Right, if I look in here and I pull the trigger, doink, 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 that's not very good now, is it? Right? We want to be able to pull that trigger and you see again, right? Like, because if I just hold my arm out, there's a lot of this wiggly shit going on. So you want to be able to pull the trigger in such a way that, and you can see that this thing is zipping to the left. So if you just want to work on a trigger pull technique, then, whoops, sorry, we're banging into hard space here. You're going to have to practice. You're going to have to practice. And when I mean practice, I don't mean just do something repetitively. You're going to have to find the way to do the thing so that it doesn't wiggle, right? Like, so, well, that means that there's all these different factors that are going to affect the way that this gun is pointing, right? So the trigger is one of them. The other one is just holding my arm out. It will get tiring after a while. And actually, again, when that shoulder joint gets tired, you're going to get trembles, which kind of is interesting because now what VR really, I think, is going to do is hopefully it's going to serve to show people who want to play games in VR who aren't very fit like me, this string bean that I am. It's going to show you the importance of being fit, physically fit, because it means that then you'll be able to hold your aim up for a longer period of time without getting wiggly. Another thing I think is that if you're only using one arm like this is really unsupported. This is an unsupported arm. And so it's wiggling a lot. And it makes you understand that if you're using two guns to shoot, right? It's like, just think how unsteady that is. Like, these aren't just handguns. These are really hands guns. They need two hands to operate. But if you're using these controllers don't allow you to really, you can't wrap one hand around the other and properly get a good stance. It just doesn't feel very good. But I found, right, let's talk about a grip, a way to grip the gun, and also a brace. So I found a new way to brace the gun, and that is by taking my other arm and wrapping it right here. And you can wrap it high, you can wrap it low. It's gonna vary, and we'll be getting into that real soon. So what I do is I can pull my arm and I can just relax, right? I'm just relaxing my arm and I'm just pulling it into this little V. This is what braces the gun, right? So I can brace the gun now. And the nice thing about this is that this comes up and forms a pretty good sight picture right away. And also, it gets rid of a lot of the wiggle wobbles. Lots and lots of the wiggle wobbles. And now it's a much better platform for the gun, right? It's like if we take the gun and we put it on a table or on a bench rest, or we put it in a vise, right? It doesn't wobble anymore. So you have to act as the platform for the gun. You're the bench rest for the gun. And so when we talk about things like a trigger pull, the grip, the brace, the swivel, the stance, all of these things are part of that platform. You are the platform for the gun. And so if you have poor footwork, if you're standing up like trying to do the impression of a hot dog and you're trying to shoot while you're doing the impression of a hot dog, I mean, that kind of strain, any strain that you're applying constantly in your body, there's eventually going to be wiggle wobble trembles, and it's going to cause your aim to drift. So that's why I talk about things like ergonomics and why that stuff is so crucial to being able to aim effectively, is because you're going to want to avoid strain. And like in your firing, you want to relieve all the different sources of strain. Strain comes in many forms. It can come in the form of just trying to tense a muscle constantly, nonstop. If you're trying to constantly tense that muscle, then, I think we've got some, that was crazy. Yeah, if you're constantly tensing up a muscle, then it's going to start trembling. So it means that your firing stance, your grip, all these things, you need to be as relaxed as possible. Not limp, but just relieve strain, because strain in your stance or strain in any of these things is going to introduce wobbles, and it's going to throw off your aim. So being able to get those bullets to go where you want means you've got to master like every single one of those things, that trigger pull and the grip and the brace. You want to get all of these working. All of these have to work together in order to make it so that when you pull that trigger, the gun doesn't get thrown off. And so what the practice involves is, let's say you're just going to work on good trigger pulls. If you want to get a good trigger pull, then first of all, you need to steady everything else out. Because if you haven't steadied everything else out and this thing is wiggle wobbling, right? It's like, what's the point of even having a good trigger pull if the rest of you is all wiggly wobbly, right? It's like, whenever you're playing a video game and you're in an FPS and then there's like an earthquake, right? It's like, how do you shoot during an earthquake? You can't score headshots during an earthquake. So you got to solve your whole body's vibrations. So things like my stance, I don't lock my legs. The reason I don't lock my legs is because eventually you need to dodge, and you can't dodge like this, right? Having your knees a little bent is good, because it greatly improves how much you can move around. And if you bend them too much, if you bend your knees too much, you'll eventually start to feel the strain and the burn, and then you'll start trembling again. So a little bit of bend, some bend is good. And, you're trying to maximize that comfort. The more comfortable you are when you're shooting, the less pressure, external pressure you start to feel. Because when you're trying to get that aim point on target, right? It's like eventually you start to feel the pressures from outside coming in. It's kind of a weird feeling that you feel like on your back right here. And it's like there's all this weird kind of like pressure coming in on you, and it's throwing your aim off. So it means that you want to adopt a way of holding the gun and firing stance and all those things that gets rid of that pressure. You want to get rid of that duress as much as possible. And you want to achieve like a Zen state. That's all I can say is it's anything that disrupts your focus. You want to get rid of those things and achieve that kind of Zen state of just being able to have a nice, steady, right? And then if you're practicing your trigger pulls, then figure out where do you want to be pulling that trigger. Do you want to be using high up on the joint of your finger, or do you want to be using somewhere maybe near to the trigger? Like if we look at the virtual hand, this thing can't exactly tell where my real fingertip is, but I think maybe that's a good spot, right? And maybe you want to be pulling in such a way, look at how I keep my fingers completely loose, right? It's like maybe I don't have to completely clasp my fingers around the gun. I'm going to wrap them around, but when I wrap them around, I'm not going to crush the gun. Oh, that's pretty good, right? Anytime you're crushing the gun, you're introducing more strain, more fatigue, more wibble wobbles. So we want to be really, really relaxed, and we want to be comfortable. Whole body's got to be comfortable. You want to find a way to stand in such a way that you introduce as little of that wibble wobble as possible. All right. Another thing that affects your aim are things like breathing. Right? So when I breathe prior to shooting, this is a habit I think is good to get into prior to shooting. And even before you begin a shooting session in VR and before you're going to play a round of Alyx, stretch a little. The older you get, the more you really need it. Oh, and it actually feels pretty good, stretching. So absolutely stretch. Watch out for ceiling fans. Yeah, the chaperone's going to complain a little bit. Right? Stretch. Also your waist. Stretch your waist. All these things it just means that when you take that firing pose, it feels so much more comfortable. Yeah, absolutely stretch. Makes a big difference. I mean, I can't tell you, there's no way I could tell you all the things that affect the way this gun barrel is going to be. I can't tell you all those things. There's so many. And this is why you need to practice, because when you're practicing and you're trying to shoot, you need full body awareness. It means that you're not thinking about, you got to be full body aware, and for that you need focus. You need to focus on shooting. You shouldn't be thinking about all the crap that I've been telling you. You shouldn't be thinking about whether you're going to be some ace, amazing shot, or those things aren't important. What is important is whether that dot is nice and steady, and whether it's on the target, and whether you start to feel things from outside kind of crushing in on you. And whenever you do feel that something is causing you discomfort and causing that aim point to drift, then you should deal with it. And so the practicing means that you're sitting here, you're trying to do a thing, and you're being intensely aware of all the things that are preventing you from doing your job properly. You have one job. Make the bullets go where you want them to go, and you don't want anything screwing up your job. That's it. So, all right, so there's the trigger pull, which I talked about. Right, the grip. So you'll probably notice again, right, is that wonderful thing about these valve controllers is they really stay to your hand. Make sure you adjust those things. They're tight, properly tight, and that's good, right? Make sure that thing is good and secure, especially if you want to throw grenades and stuff. You don't want to cost yourself a monitor, throw your controller into your monitor. You don't want to do those things. Learn how to adjust these things. And the grip, you'll probably notice that, again, I've been firing this whole time without even wrapping my fingers around, or I just lightly wrap them around. I don't crush them. I'm not trying to even hold it. Minimal amount. There's like it's a very limp grip. And then the other thing is that you'll see here with my thumb, I can take my thumb and I can put it underneath. I can put it underneath the rim of this. Right? Is that showing up? I can't really tell. Hang on. Wait, let's see if I I can't even tell. It's somewhere. Anyway. Right. So the thing is, I wrap my thumb around the lower part like that. Because if your thumb's sitting on the pad, you use that to change weapons. And so I don't want to accidentally put away my gun. So I put my thumb down below, and then, oh, that's kind of neat. You can see the oh, there's a ghost image. Anyway, yeah, you can see that what I'm doing is I have my fingers just lightly wrapped around. If you're using a real gun, there's probably a recoil. You'll probably need to grip it a little harder. But in VR, we don't have to worry about recoil, so we're actually allowed to be pretty limp with our grip. And because of that, you're not introducing wiggle wobbles. You're not introducing any wobbles. That's really good. All right, what else we got to talk about? We talked about the brace. Here's another advantage of the brace, right? Is that when you brace your arms like this, your hand is up by your shoulder, which means if you clench your grip, that pulls a magazine out. So anytime you need to reload, what you do is you just shift like this, right? Look at this, shifting. So you just shift and whoops. Oh, there's a point. There we are. Okay, so maybe it's by your neck. So what you can do is shift up to your neck, grip, and you've got it. So that seems pretty consistent. Oh. Or I think another thing you can do is you can keep your hand up over here if it's here and you're shooting. So this is why you also practice, is you practice to find out when will the system register that you've gripped a magazine. So I can shut my hand right now, punch to my neck. No, it doesn't. Okay, so that means that the hand has to be open. Or maybe I'll just lightly close my hand. And then if I pull the trigger, it grabs it. Okay, there we go. So practice between getting the magazine out. Then you can reload. I don't want to actually chamber around yet, right? So these are things that you can practice, right? Just like we practice the trigger pulls and trying to get that thing there, we also want to practice grabbing, reloading, returning to battery. And of course, there's also chambering around. I don't want to do that yet. So these are things that you can practice is let's say you're out, you want to eject the mag, back to battery, back into aim, back into your position. Do you see this now? So this is how it looks from the side. Okay, so, right, let's put that away. Let's put these away. Right, it's fun to practice reloading. And when it comes to practicing, there are, we're talking about 3 levels of competence. So the thing is that when you're practicing, there are 3 levels of competence. There is unconscious incompetence. It means that you're so bad at a thing. Oops, sorry. Let me just grab some water. It means that you're so bad at the thing that you don't even know how bad you are. It means that it's like you can be so bad at pulling a trigger, you never even knew that you were bad at pulling a trigger. You never even knew that it was possible to be bad at pulling a trigger. That is unconscious incompetence. And let me tell you, anything that I haven't seriously practiced with, I am unconsciously incompetent at those things. Let's not mince any words, okay? It's like I might be good at programming. I might have some skill with beatboxing. I might be somewhat good at shooting. I might be good at cooking. Everything else, though, unicycle riding, crocheting, knitting, piano, like lots of things I suck at, right? Like that's just how it is. We're unconsciously incompetent. Then there is conscious competence, which means that if you focus on it, you can actually do it. And the thing about shooting is that it's not just being good at shooting. That's too monolithic. Within shooting, there's all these different things. There's being able to pull a trigger well, being able to hold the grip properly, being able to do all these things to eliminate all the strain and get the greatest amount of accuracy and get that barrel to point at the things you want to point at, such that when you're shooting, you're not disrupting that accuracy and the bullets are all going where you want them to go. Like, there's all these little factors that come together to make you able to do that job. And so practicing means that you find all those little things that you could possibly be good at, and you get good at each one of those things. The only problem is that the mind is not made for multitasking. You can't just consciously keep in mind all the things that you're going to be good at once. This is why practice is important, because when you practice something, you make it until it's something that you can just, you don't have to think about it. You're so comfortable with it. The feeling of being uncomfortable with a thing, like, that kind of, sometimes, like, when you're finding a different trigger grip, like, or just a different way to wrap your finger around your trigger and pull that trigger, that can feel weird. There's this weirdness feeling that creeps down on you. It comes from outside, and it contributes to that weird pressure on your back, right? There's like this, it makes the hairs on your back raise. That is a signal. That's a signal. That means that you need, it's a feeling of unfamiliarity. You're not ready with it. You're not familiar. It needs more practice. You just need to do that. First, you need to find the right way to do it. And that's going to feel uncomfortable and weird. It's going to feel awkward. Then you need to do it over and over again until it no longer feels awkward. And when you're doing it, you got to make sure you're doing it right. So you got to get used to doing a thing in the way that allows you to do it right, until you are no longer uncomfortable with it, and you do it automatically whenever the need arises. So it's like whenever I draw, like, I can't hold the pencil wrong anymore. I can't, make lines go where I don't want them to go. Like, you get things to the level of unconscious competence. You have to practice until you just pull it off, right? And there's all these, like, the thing about being able to shoot well in VR is, like, there's all these, it's a decathlon. It's or it's like, it's a dodecathlon of skills that you could get good at, and a whole bunch of little skills that you could improve one by one by one. If you think about a giant skill tree, right? Like, there's an enormous number of skills within the skill tree of being able to shoot well, being a pistol master in Alyx VR. Okay, great. So we're getting through this. All right, ergonomics, we talked about fatigue, strain. We talked lots and lots about strain. I talked about things like respiration, your heart rate. Again, these are things where if you are under duress, you're getting attacked a lot. The enemies are all shooting at you and stuff like that. I find that if you crouch and you stand up and you crouch and you stand up and you're shooting from crouch positions, you're shooting from standing up positions, eventually, you're probably, sweat's going to be pouring off of you. All right, you're going to have to spend some time drying off your headset, and you're going to be pulse pounding and breathing heavily. And so you need to learn to control your breathing. And the way you control your breathing is deep breath, let it out, let it stay out for a while. Right? So you can consciously alter your breathing pattern to eventually get your respiration rate to slow down. You can find cover. If, while you're playing in the game and enemies are advancing on your position, look for places to bail out. Look for areas where you can get some cover and calm your respiration, calm your shit down. And then when you're ready to fire again, you might even stretch while you're behind cover, limber up. And then when you feel like you're ready, then you get ready to shoot. So you've got to learn to manage your heart rate and your respiration rate and become a calm, relaxed shooter, because there's nothing more deadly than a calm, relaxed shooter in this game. So what else do we have? Right, stress. Yeah, we just talked about that. We talked about 3 levels of competence. Okay, so, whoops, just putting down my water bottle. Right, so we've got things like duress versus discipline. So, under duress, meaning we're not at a firing range, we got people shooting at us, right? So, practice in the practice range. Practice one thing. You don't have to practice all the things that I taught you. Practice one thing. Go and play a level. Go and play a level of Alyx, right? And then, come back and see and think about, all you have to do is focus on the one thing that you practice when you play a round of Alyx. when you play a round of enemies shooting at you. And so the idea is you take one thing that you want to learn, you practice here until you're comfortable. Then you take it into combat and you see how you do. And you think about, how could I have improved that? And you come back here and you practice some more and you take it back and forth, because you can't just sit in a practice range and expect to be amazing gunfighter and then go play through Alyx the whole damn thing and just be amazing the whole time. All right, so understand that there are times where you're going to want to be here in the practice range, shoot a little bit, practice, go out for some combat and take what you just practiced and use it practically, and then come back here and then learn another thing. And I find it's this process of going back and forth between the practice arena and going out into combat that really, it's going to make you learn a lot faster. So what else do we have? Right. So I want to talk about things like target shifting and effective cone. Yeah, let's get back to shooting. So I changed my buttons on my game controller. I made it so that there's the B and the A button. There's the forward button and the back button. So the forward B button is actually my mag release, and my A button is my my slide release. I swapped them because I figured the A button is on the back and so is the slide release, and the B button is towards the front, which is where the mag release is. So I don't know. You can alter your bindings. You can alter your controller bindings, and I thought it was much better like that. Okay, right. And so, whoops, let's put that away. Right, so target shifting and effective cone. Okay, so two things. When you shoot, I would suggest aiming for the label at first. But there's another saying, and that is, aim small, miss small. So if we aim for a smaller target, chances are our missing will also be smaller, so let's aim for the top of the bottle. Okay, so when I talk about target shifting, you'll notice that I did not shift to the next target until the target's dead. The idea is that you don't get into the habit of just shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, because sometimes you haven't finished your job. Only move on after you finish your job. So it means that you may and get used to listening to the boop. There's a little thing that tells you that you're out of rounds or on the last round. Right. So there's certain cues. When you're practicing, you want to build up like a trigger cue in your brain. You're trying to program yourself. You're trying to program yourself so that when you hear that boop on the gun, which tells you, like, here, let's get the gun out, listen for this. And then here, boop, that little sound, that is your cue. That should activate in your mind. When you hear that, there should be a Pavlovian response. It's like the dinner gong that summons the dog. There should be a Pavlovian response that when you hear that boop, the first thing you should think of doing is, right, and take that magazine out and reload it. That should be it. So you should go, right? So that should be your signal. The problem is that sometimes when you're firing the gun, there's a ping. Sometimes there's a ping, and sometimes there's the beep. Yeah, so sometimes I find that ping actually throws me off and it makes me reach for the magazine. I've got to train that Pavlovian response out. But yeah. Back to it. Right. So you want to train yourself to have like Pavlovian triggers. So Pavlovian trigger is, for example, is the beep, which tells you to reload. Then there's the death of the target, which tells you to switch target, right? So those are two Pavlovian triggers that you can use to speed up your killing of things. So it means that bang, right? When you hear the smash, oh, that does not feel good. So I'm shooting fast. Okay. All right. I'm purposely shooting fast because this is what you do when you're in the game. You want to make it so that what you do in practice is very close or as close as possible to what you do in a real situation, meaning when the enemies are shooting at you. You want to bring those two together. You don't want to just be good in practice ranges and suck when you're out there, right? And when you're out there is what really matters the most. Let's face it. So there's that. Another thing that I haven't talked about was I don't do this. I don't take my wrist, and you want to avoid any wrist movement. Like, you just want to relax your wrist and just never use it. You need to suppress the instinct to turn your wrist, because when you do, you lose your sight picture. You lose that eye, sight, and target alignment. So that is something that you want to do. Is you want to, if sometimes it's like there's an enemy that's like just a little bit off, and you're going to feel the urge to do this, to like correct your wrist, but turn that over. Don't. Got to take that out, because when you, in order for you to turn your wrist, you have to actuate a muscle that pulls your wrist this way. That actuation of that muscle introduces a whole bunch of other vibrations. So I found that if you need to change the aim for any reason, it's of two things that you use. Either both your shoulders can be used to change the elevation of the gun, like this, and the other is your waist. Now, let's talk about active cone, because active cone to me is everything you can kill within this cone. This is your kill cone. Anything in this kill cone, you can swivel your waist and your shoulders. All these frying pans, all these red frying pans, they're all in my active kill cone. All right. So, right, that's part of the swivel. The swivel as well as the brace controls the range of your active kill cone. And then finally, there's footwork. So footwork, we talked a little about it by talking about how you bend your knees slightly, and then also how it helps you to aim. So you can also use this to alter your stance. And then finally, you'll notice look how I can swivel, and I can keep that sight picture, right? This is why I like this stance so much. Because this stance allows me really good target switching. I can switch from target to target, targets that are very far apart, and I don't lose my sight picture. So you learn to swivel to aim, and just keep your relax your wrist. Don't turn your wrist. Don't turn your wrist to make small adjustments. Instead, what you do is you make small adjustments with your waist and your shoulders, and you learn to go, right? You are a gun turret. Everything from the waist up is this gun turret, and it only relies on two things: shoulders and waist. That's it. Maybe elbows to some slight degree, but even then, as a gun platform, your gun platform, things like the fingers and the wrist and the elbows, these serve to get the gun up to your eye. That's what they do. Your fingers, your wrist, your elbow, their job is to get the sight to your eye, right? Give you a sight picture. The rest of you, that means that your feet, your footwork, right? And you'll see that even when I switch my footwork, look at this, I'm pivoting on one foot. I can still maintain my sight picture. That's pretty good. You suddenly need to do like a 180 turn, right? It's like somebody comes in behind you, and then you're like, oh shit, I got to turn around fast. You do a quick swivel, and then, right? And this is a thing you can practice. You can practice, starting out here, and then maybe what you have to do is, let's see if I can get that swivel to work, right? Maybe this is a drill you perform, right? People talk about things like the Mozambique drill, where you have to what is it? You got to 2 shots to the body, 1 to the head, or something like that, right? So what I'm saying is that you kind of set up something where you quickly turn around and you cap all 5 targets, or maybe you cap that target and the one in the middle, right? Is that you set up these little drills to practice, between swiveling and shooting. Whoops, I tripped on my cable. These things happen. This is why you practice, because you want to be able to just figure out, what do you do in that situation. You probably also notice that you can work out things like your footwork. You got to deal with your cable. You'll notice how I very often will pivot on this leg, right? And I swivel. This is much better. So I can swivel wide. That's hard. Swiveling wide is hard. But what I can do instead is I can perform a linear track. This is better, right? This is better because it's hard to move a long leg, like that. That's difficult. But if you instead do a linear track, this is much tighter. It's much tighter. You won't bang into things, and your cable is on your left leg like that. This is better cable management. You won't tangle in your cable. So, right. And watch the balance. Keep your movements. Right? You do a bunch of these swivels, your heart rate's going to start racking up. Your respiration rate starts to crank up. So learn to manage that stuff, and learn how to keep your movements maybe smaller and more compact. So I don't have to swivel as far. So you'll probably notice that this entire explanation, all the things I've been teaching you, I still think, I could compress that movement and make it smaller. This is tiring. So I should do something to make it less tiring. That's what practice is. Practices don't just do the same thing over and over again. You do it to improve the technique. You do it to ingrain it in your mind. And that's what is important. So that's how you get good at a thing, because you learn how are you bad at it? How are you doing it wrong? And you self-coach. You've got to learn to self-coach. And the reason why self-coaching is great is because it's one thing to watch somebody else doing it. It's another thing to do it. This is the wonderful revolution that is VR, is the fact that you actually do a thing, and then you start to feel within yourself, this is tiring. There's a lot of strain here. I've got muscles here that are getting tired, and it's causing me to wiggle wobble. You have to learn how to observe yourself. You focus on doing a thing, and you look for things that prevent you from doing that job properly. And you focus on those, and you find a way. You've got to problem solve and find a way to solve that problem. All right, what are we doing next? Right. We talked about target shifting, talked about effective cones, and, oops, can I scroll? Yes, I can. Right. Let's visit the kill house. Computer? Pause recording. All right, so we're here at the kill house. It's timed. We're not even going to worry about timing. Let's go on in. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. So when we're in a kill house, we'll get right back to the thing where we were talking about cyberspace and meat space. Ooh, there's that little click, 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 which is putting in a lot of stress. All right, so anyway, yeah, so we can see here's our meat space. We need to manage our meat space and align it with cyberspace in such a way that we don't go banging into hard space. And so this arrangement that you see right here, there's a little bit of, I'm just going to show you up straight. This is what I use, okay? What this does, this arrangement allows for, is it allows me to take my usual stance, and it allows me to go around this corner. And I can see, oh, there's a target up there, if the tracking issues don't kill me first. And it allows me to take out targets like that. Now, I understand one thing, and that is that you're probably seeing my right eye. So if I change the settings so that I think there's a spectator option, and I can't remember how to set it up where. Okay, let's figure that out. Computer, pause recording. There we are. Okay. So now you're probably seeing things, hopefully out of my left eye. Yeah, okay, and then if I hold my hand over my left eye, let's put my finger there. Okay, yeah, that is the left eye. That's the right eye. Left eye. No, you guys are still seeing my, you're still seeing view out of my right eye. Let's try that, changing that again. Options, spec. Yeah, I don't think that's affecting it at all. Okay, then in that case, computer, pause recording. Awesome. Okay, I managed to get it to show left eye and right eye. So here's what we can do. This is looking through the right eye. Whew. I got up kind of fast. String bean like me gets postural lightheadedness. Okay, so if I'm going, this is the left corner, so you'll notice that what I've done is I can switch to my left eye, or I can switch to my right eye. And this is something where you can change the brace, right? You can change your brace and find a comfortable brace. Or this is for left eye approaches. Oh, we've got ourselves that's a bad plate. There, we doing the dishes, I see. Right, and so this is the way that I'm shuffling around, and you can see this is, look at this arrangement that I'm using for my, right, this room space. So this is very important, is that, yeah, I think we're good. So let's keep on cornering. This is the left-hand corner. Oh, we got some bad guys there. So that's pretty good. All right, now I can just ease around. Okay. So you saw how that works, is that I only reveal myself to the target that I'm shooting. Only revealing myself to the target I'm shooting, and no more than that. And then let's go through here. Once again, you'll see that kind of arrangement here. Right? Oh, we got ourselves a bad bottle there. Yeah, that one's down. We're going to shuffle around. So again, we're good. And you need to check up and down. Okay, we're good. Keep moving. Oh, we've got some targets here. There we go. Oh, we got 2 targets. You'll notice I had to switch to my right eye there. And this is why you go through the kill house. I slide over, use my knees to just gradually take that corner. So again, you can see managing that meat space, right? The way that I set it up. Okay. Let's good. All right, I think we're good. Oh, one contact there. I'm gonna quickly pop there. This meat space. Manage the meat space. There we go. Yeah, we can. All right. So sometimes you'll see that it's like, uh-oh, why is this happening, right? So you'll see that I had to make a slight adjustment to that. Maybe I might want to adjust the corner like that. Adjust my meat space. Slide over. Okay. Good. That's good. Yeah, again, right? You see how I handle the managing of the meat space. The other thing is that sometimes you need to give your shoulders a rest in between combat. So this is this is actually quite comfortable. This is really comfortable. A very soothing feeling. All right. So quickly again. Now this time I gotta go. This is the left-hand corner. So I'm gonna do adjust like that, and then possible head crab. Yeah, these guys are head crab height. Again, this time I had to switch my left eye. Good. Let's manage meat space. We're gonna put that there. We need room to bail out. If you have to reload, enemies start pushing up real fast, you need meat space. Manage that meat space. Oh. Having a little problems where we see that we struck the wall there. Right, so again, move right up. Now, this is a tiring position. If you're here, this is gonna be very tiring. Sometimes. Yeah, this is especially tiring. These sorts of ledges, all right? They're not gonna cooperate with my anatomy because I'm a certain height. I like to shoot at this height, and I like to shoot at this height. Okay? So you start to learn. This is actually pretty good for standing and shooting. Not too bad. Right, and again, we got ourselves one contact there. And I always like to use my real world. So if I'm doing any movements like this, right, I like real world. Then there's virtual moves where you use the joystick, right? So I like real world moves for handling corners. Feels a little more real. Oops. I'm gonna get up to here, turn that there as well. We're gonna slowly edge around the corner, contact, bail out, slide back in. We got a bit of a bump. Yeah, you get tracking issues. Use that time to bail out. Again, real world is more manageable than using the joystick moves. But I like continuous move because it allows me the subtlety of control. Plus I like using, I don't like using snap turn. I like using the continuous turn at maximum speed. Because this allows me to more subtle control over the meat space box. So again, right time, right eye. Yeah. Just that. We got some contacts there. Maybe if they're stacked vertically, then what you can do as a practice is pop out, shoot one, pop back, pop, shoot, reshift aim, pop out, shoot. if they're stacked and they're all on the same horizontal axis, you had to practice. Right? So you pre-aim before going around the corner. Right. So this way, from here, we learn that it's not good to be here because 3 targets can see you, and then to be shooting, aiming, shooting, aiming, shooting. If 3 targets can shoot you, what you can do is pre-aim 1 target, shoot the 1, pre-aim, shoot again, pre-aim, shoot again. Minimize. You want to minimize your exposure time, minimize how many enemies can see you at a time. So these are just little optimizations, right? And oh, we got 1 contact up there. So right eye view. Got him. Oh, there's another one. Got him. All right. Oh, we got some contacts on the way out. I'm gonna pre-aim this other guy up here. I saw briefly that there was one there. We have enough meat space. Take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, we have a third one probably. Got him. All right, sector secure. And the timing must be awful. But we got all the targets. Everybody dead. So, yeah, it's like there's so much to learn, so much to improve. Even if you're good at it, you can still work on your speed. You can work on your ability to handle duress. These are all really, really important. It's deleting leftover targets, reload while you wait. Right. And yeah, I don't know what else I have to show you. Again, I can't show you everything because I don't know everything. I can just say for things like, okay, look, I'll give you 1 bonus. All right, the 1 bonus is grenades. All right, let's move through a little faster. Okay, so we're gonna go up there, left eye view. Oh, we have a target. By the tracking errors. Okay, 1 contact there, multiple contacts on there. All right. So we have a whole bunch of guys over there. There's more than I want to deal with shooting. 7 beeps. 7 beeps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. 7 beeps for an airburst. You'll notice that I had enough room for the throw. You have to make sure you have meat space for the throw. This is how I like to arrange. There's my center circle. I'm standing just to the side of that center circle. This gives me a proper throwing arc. You always plot your throw, especially figure out, we got 3 targets up there. So again, left hand throw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh. Still managed to kill 2 of them and scored an airburst. So timing, 6 to 7 clicks, maybe 6 is good, and you want to be pre-throwing and let go on the 6th or 7th click. That's about it, all I can show you. That's the bonus, is grenades. Learn to airburst those grenades, use the grenade range. Let's end it here. I had fun. I hope you guys did too. I'll see you later. Computer, end recording.